The next day, after I went home from work, to my surprise, I found not only my wife, but also my father-in-law there. "So, you're finally home. Hurry up and sign the divorce papers." I ignored my father-in-law and turned to my wife. "Why did you bring your dad into this? How much of a thing do you have for your dad?" I asked her. My wife's face turned bright red.
"Shut up and just sign the papers."
She put the divorce papers on the table with a bang. I hurriedly filled out the divorce papers just to get it over with. "My name is Matt. I'm 28 years old and an office worker. I got married 2 years ago to a woman named Karen. I met my wife in college. We were classmates in the same department and attended the same classes. We didn't date when we were students. After graduate, we continued to go out for drinks on a regular basis. We started dating 3 years ago and got married after 1 year of dating. Our college classmates also congratulated us on our marriage. Since we got married, life has been relatively happy, but there was one problem. That was my father-in-law. My father-in-law spoke to me with a kind of smile when he greeted me at the wedding. I thought he was a good person, but after we got married, his attitude towards me changed completely. My father-in-law had always loved his daughter, my wife. He often came to our house. When I came home from work, they were already having dinner at the dining table. "Matt, so you finally came home. What are you doing working until this late? Why don't you come home early and help with the housework?" "I'm sorry." "Come on, why don't you sit down and eat?" Yeah, okay.
"Dad's cooking is always delicious. Don't you think so, Matt?"
Yeah, sure. I didn't like my father-in-law's cooking. He always overseasoned the food. I always wondered, was it safe to eat so much salt? I'd have to stop eating it after taking a few bites and give the leftovers to my wife. "You really don't eat much. You're as skinny as a toothpick."
"I'm lucky. I can eat a whole lot."
"I think I'll head home now. Matt, you take care of the cleanup." My father-in-law only cooks the meal, and then he leaves without washing a single pan or dish. I had to eat his food, even though it wasn't even very good. It really stresses me out because I have to clean up the mess in the kitchen. Moreover, my father-in-law uses the ingredients in the refrigerator without permission, so the food I bought for the next day was gone. I often found myself unable to cook what I had planned to cook the next day. As someone who enjoys cooking, this really annoys me, and of course, my father-in-law was already picking on me. I wonder why Karen married such a man. There are so many other, better men in the world. You must have gotten on Karen's good side. That's not quite how it happened, but I can tell a clever man from a dumb one just by looking at their face. I won't be fooled by you, and I'll protect my daughter. Why in the world does he always want to pick fights with me? I wish he would let go, let his daughter live her own life. I couldn't stand it any longer, so I asked my wife for advice. "Your dad is always putting on such a show."
"You guys always seem to be getting along to me."
"No, that's not true. He's always shitting on me when you're not around."
"My father wouldn't do something like that."
"You should trust me, at least a little bit, and I don't want your father-in-law to come over and cook dinner without asking first."
"Why not? He's doing you a favor."
"I don't like it when he uses all the food or when he makes a mess in the kitchen. I don't mean he can't come over, but can you at least tell him to come less often?"
"Okay, sure."
I was feeling pretty stressed out. I felt like I might have been too pushy with my wife. Maybe she could tell I was stressed out and actually listened to what I had to say. And then she told her father-in-law, and my father-in-law stopped coming. It was a huge stress relief when my father-in-law stopped coming. I can cook the food I planned and season it to my own taste. I didn't have to worry about him leaving the kitchen a mess either. For a while, I was enjoying the peace and quiet. Recently, however, my wife started coming home late. She said she has been going out for drinks with her company. She has been telling me more and more often, "I don't want dinner." It was a pain to make a big meal when I'm the only one eating it, so I would cook something simple and eat it. And my wife has recently been entrusted with various jobs at work. She has been taking more and more business trips.
"It was worth it to go out for drinks every night and to put up with listening to my boss's boring stories," she said happily. I was a little sad that I got to spend less time with her, but I felt I had to support her since she was working so hard at her job. Then New Year's Day came. My wife took me to visit her in-laws for the first time in a while. I didn't really want to go, but I had to attend because all of her relatives were gathering. When my father-in-law saw me, he didn't even greet me. "Matt, you're late. Put down your luggage and help me get ready," he said coldly. Even though it had been more than half a year since my father-in-law stopped coming to our house, it has been more than half a year since my wife warned him and he stopped coming to our house. He still seemed a bit upset with me. He really is a petty person. I just ignored it and decided to concentrate on the delicious food. At the New Year's banquet, me, my brother-in-law, and my mother-in-law cooked the food.
We also serve turkey and other dishes that we ordered in advance from a restaurant. My aunt-in-law's tastes are the complete opposite of my father-in-law's, and she is a professional cook. Therefore, my brother-in-law and I were her assistants, and we tried not to interfere with her cooking. My aunt-in-law often complains about my father-in-law.
He really has no sense of taste, so he can't be entrusted with cooking,
she'd say. She's a very nice person, cheerful and friendly. I liked my aunt-in-law. And then, the banquet started. I was sitting away from my father-in-law and enjoying the food, but in the middle of the party, my father-in-law came to me and said, "We're running low on alcohol. Go to the store and buy some more." I had to go to the supermarket. Then, my brother-in-law, who was watching me, said, "I'll go with you," to my relief. My father-in-law said, "Why? You should just relax." But my brother-in-law said,
"I just want to get some air, and it would suck to have to carry all that alcohol by yourself,"
he replied simply. My father-in-law looked bored. My brother-in-law ignored him and urged me on, saying, "Come on, let's get going." "Thanks for your help, Max. I really didn't want to carry everything on my own. I know you probably wanted to relax and have fun. I'm sorry."
"It's totally fine. I don't like to watch my father pick at his son-in-law like that.
He loves his daughter way too much, you know. He thinks you've taken his daughter away from him." I knew it.
"I wish he'd just let his children go off on her own. I don't see how she doesn't get annoyed by it. Normally, you care a lot more about your husband, don't you?"
"I feel much better knowing you feel that way too, Max."
"If my father does anything to you, please talk to me right away."
"Thank you." As my brother-in-law and I were walking home after procuring some drinks and talking, we ran into my parents-in-law's neighbor outside who spoke to us.
"Hey, Max and Matt! Happy New Year!"
"Happy New Year."
"Matt, I haven't seen you around. I thought maybe you guys got divorced."
No. Well, it's true that my wife and I haven't seen each other much lately, though."
"Well, she does seem to come here pretty often."
"What?"
"I don't know. It seems like she only comes here for dinner or something. I thought you guys had broken up because I had only seen Karen around."
I was so surprised to find out the truth that I froze.
"Sorry, we should probably be heading back now. We were asked to refill up on the alcohol." "I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I'll see you later."
After the neighbor had gone, Max spoke to me kindly and thoughtfully.
"Maybe she had something to take care of here, and that's why she kept coming by?"
"Hey, Max, thanks for trying to make me feel better. I'll have to ask Karen what's going on sometime."
"Yeah."
After the party was over, I went home. I was going to ask my wife right away, but she went into the bathroom to take a bath, so I decided to wait for her to come up. Then, I heard a notification on my wife's phone. She had gotten a message on her phone. My wife seemed to be a little drunk and left her phone on the table. Curious, I turned to look at my wife's phone. The name Yuri was displayed on the screen. And on the screen I read, "Did you have a good time at the banquet? It's about our trip this weekend." This was the only part of the message that was displayed. Trip? I thought my wife said she was going on a business trip on the weekend. Does that mean my wife is lying? I decided to ask my wife when she came out of the bath. "Where are you going this weekend?"
"Colorado. I'm going to buy souvenirs."
She said this without any hesitation at all. I thought she was more honest than that, but she could lie so easily. I immediately requested a detective agency to investigate the matter. A few weeks later, loss of evidence of infidelity came out. I confronted my wife with the evidence and asked her, "What does this mean? You've been lying to me and having an affair with a man named Yuri, haven't you?" My wife's eyes widened in surprise, but when she realized that she couldn't get away with it, she opened her mouth.
"Yes, I was having an affair. He's not like you. He's got a heart of gold and muscles."
"I can't do this with you anymore. Let's just get divorced."
"I can't be with you either."
"I'll go get the divorce papers and you sign them."
"Yes, okay."
The divorce was finalized without a hitch. When I came home after work the next day, I found not only my wife, but also my father-in-law at my house. "Finally, you decided to come home. Sign the divorce papers right now." I ignored my father-in-law and said to my wife, "Why are you bringing your father into this? How much of a thing do you have for him?" I said to her. My wife's face turned bright red.
"Shut up! Just fill out the papers!"
and put the divorce papers on the table with a bang. I hurriedly filled out the divorce papers just to get it over with. Then my father-in-law said to me with a grin, "Now, you and Yuri can be together," he said. "What? You know?" I introduced Yuri to Karen. He is a student at the flower arrangement class I teach. He's only 24 years old, honest, and cute. What kind of nerve is that, to support cheating with your own student? I don't care about the details of the affair. I'll take everything I bought, alright? I don't want your dirty, used things. Take it and leave now. No, I can't do that right now. How much stuff do you think I have? What? A refrigerator, a microwave oven, a washing machine, a sofa. vacuum cleaner, hair dryer, and my bicycle. My car. That much? I'm going to have to call a moving company. Also, I'm going to cancel the lease on this room, so you will have to move out too. Didn't Karen rent this room? What? What are you talking about? This is the apartment I've been living in since I was single. You've been living in such a nice apartment since you were single? I thought you were living on Karen's salary. What? Karen, what have you been telling your dad? No, I have a much higher income than Karen, so I think Karen would be more troubled by a divorce than me. And of course, I'm going to ask her to pay alimony. What? Why don't we just forget about this divorce thing? Don't be silly. I can't take it back now. So, Karen, pack your bags and get out of here as soon as possible, and make sure you take this idiot father of yours with you. For the time being, my wife took the bare minimum of her belongings, and my father-in-law, who was pale and frozen, and left. After that, I communicated with her through a lawyer, and our divorce was finalized. I also claimed alimony from my ex-wife and her lover. By the way, when I reported this to my brother-in-law and mother-in-law, they were both very furious. My brother-in-law said he would cut ties with my father-in-law and his sister. My aunt-in-law gave my father-in-law a big lecture and told him that she would no longer associate with him. Another person who was furious when she heard about this was my mother-in-law. In fact, when my ex-wife used to go back to her parents-in-law's house, often for dinner, her lover, Yuri, often also went with her. However, my father-in-law told her that "This boy is my most talented student, so I am giving him special lessons at home." She had no idea that he had invited him to dinner to have an affair with his daughter. My mother-in-law said she didn't want to be with such a crazy person anymore. She began to prepare to divorce him. My father-in-law, left by his whole family, he is now living alone in an apartment. Also, my ex-wife has started living with her lover. Her new lover is spending money frivolously and does not do any housework. In addition to not being able to save any money, they are having to work extra hard. She is in a state of physical and mental disarray. It's a really good feeling. On the other hand, I rented a new apartment and am living comfortably. I still keep in touch with my brother-in-law and aunt-in-law. Sometimes I visit my aunt-in-law's house with my brother-in-law, and she teaches us how to cook. This marriage was a mistake, but I am grateful to my ex-wife for having introduced me to my brother-in-law and aunt-in-law. Thank you for watching to the end. How did you like today's story? Please subscribe to our channel if you'd like.